Holly Walker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to take a call on the Heritage New Zealand Pouhere Taonga bill. As we've heard from my colleague Catherine Delahunty, the Green Party will be supporting this bill to the Select Committee, but we do retain some concerns about certain provisions within it that we would like to see addressed at the Select Committee stage. Mr Speaker, we agree that the Historic Places Act is in need of updating. That Act was originally drafted in 1975 and amended in 1993 as an example of why it does need updating. Under the existing Act, the technical date by which a place is considered to be historic is if it is a place that predates 1900. Now, at present, there's a lengthy and difficult process to get a site of historical value post-1900 listed as an historic place. So clearly this needs updating, so that places like World War I training camps, like Napier with its Art Deco heritage, can be more readily considered and recognised as historic places. So there is a very clear need to consolidate, update and streamline some of the provisions of the Historic Places Act 1993. Now, arguably, the most high-profile change in this bill is to change the name and reform the structure of the Historic Places Trust, Pouhere Taonga. The trust will become Heritage New Zealand Pouhere Taonga, and its structure will be reformed. As we've heard from previous speakers, the trust currently has a board, the Māori Heritage Council, and branch committees consisting of fee-paying local members. Mr Speaker, the Green Party acknowledges the tensions referred to in the bill's explanatory note, created by the combination of statutory responsibilities on the one hand with active branch committees and elected board members on the other. And we can see how this structure could make it challenging for the trust to efficiently carry out its statutory responsibilities. However, we do see a risk with the proposed changes, particularly disestablishing the local branch committee structure and removing elected board members, that some of the energy, commitment and local expertise of those local branch committees will be lost, and that would be a great shame if that were to take place. Local Historic Places Trust branch members have invaluable local knowledge and give freely of their volunteer hours for the cause of furthering our national heritage. And in many ways, these changes could be seen as disenfranchising or disempowering those local volunteers. I'm keen to hear more at the Select Committee about how branches feel about this change, and I'm also keen to hear more from the government about how the hard work and dedication of local branch members will be appreciated and retained under the new regime, especially if the fees of branch members will still continue to be collected and retained by the organisation without the consequent representation that the current structure provides. And then we have a number of concerns with that. Mr Speaker, in the wake of the Christchurch earthquakes, heritage is an issue of particular concern at the front of mind for many New Zealanders, and many people with an interest in Christchurch's heritage will be watching this bill closely. We're therefore pleased to see that the bill establishes a separate emergency authority process in the event of natural disasters to give Heritage New Zealand the ability to process archaeological authorities more speedily following a state of emergency. It will be important, however, for Heritage New Zealand in the aftermath of a future disaster to follow a comprehensive process that takes heritage protection into account, even though it will be in a shortened time frame, and we think it's important that is preserved. Regarding the bill's changes to the granting of archaeological authorities, which has dominated much of the debate on the bill in this first reading, the House has already heard from my colleague Catherine Delahunty about our concerns about section 42(1)(b) of the bill, allowing applications for activities that may harm an archaeological site if the effect of that activity are no more than minor. As we've heard, there's no definition of what a minor effect is in the bill, and we think this is particularly problematic when section 43 exempts developers from consulting with Māori if the effects are thought to be no more than minor. Without a robust and appropriate definition of what no more than minor means in the context of this bill, we're concerned that this could lead to the inappropriate destruction of significant sites without reference or consultation with mana whenua. And so I'm pleased to hear from the previous speaker some enthusiasm to address that at the Select Committee. That's just one of the concerns we've raised. We will be supporting this bill to the Select Committee, but we do look forward to teasing out these issues in more detail there. Kia ora koutou.
Paul Gold.